Ah, good enough for me. Thanks. What's up, Ghetto? That is it. You're the only one. Good for you. Thanks, man. Heartland's not going to make it tonight, so I just figured, hell with it. I'll just go ahead and kick it on and start going from here. We were just kind of finishing up chores, so I kind of ran short on like some prep time or whatever, as far as being able to kind of go over. Like normally, I like to kind of go over my notes a little bit and kind of read them a little bit, but we got a lot of bad weather coming our way, so we just kind of rounded up some extra firewood, kind of tucking the animals in a little bit more, just kind of doing some extra things to make sure that we're 5x5 on the farm. So let me know, Ghetto. Am I 5x5 here? Can you at least hear me, see me, all that good stuff? And then, I'll kind of just bullshit a little bit until it populates a little bit, if it populates any, and then I'll start kind of going from there. Good evening, Ohio Prepper. How are you doing? I was just rambling on kind of about all the stuff we got going on here, just kind of trying to, get the evening settled in or get ready for the evening, I guess, because we got 8 to 10 inches of snow, ice, all kinds of good stuff coming our way. So we kind of, hauled in some extra firewood, like tuck the animals in a little bit more. We were just kind of going through and seeing what all we had, bringing up some typical preps that we have on hand, but just kind of getting them in the room a little bit more, like our oil lamps, our lighters, more firewood, more stuff to run on the fire, kind of just, bringing everything up so that it's kind of handy. So if we lose power, not if, I'm going to say when at this point we lose power, we'll be good to go. We'll be ready to cook, ready to, have light, all that good stuff, So it'll be kind of interesting. I think this storm's going to hit us real hard. It's going to hit Heartland real hard, and that's why he's not going to be here tonight. Heartland's working the streets tonight. So he's working out on the street crew tonight, and then it's going to get into Missouri. I'm pretty sure Hutch Homestead is going to get hit real hard. So this is a pretty good sized storm, and it's going to dump a lot of snow, a lot of ice, a lot of wind coming with it. So, like I said, there's a few extra things we're kind of doing, trying to just kind of catch up. I literally ran in here and just sat down, and right after we're done, I'm going to go out and finish up a handful of things and call it a night, see what happens. It might be interesting. I'm kind of anxious to see because, like Hutch was saying, I stopped to grab a couple things from the store. Like we're needing my wife's Dunkin' Donuts. She loves those. So I stopped and grabbed a box of those, and it was pretty crazy. There was people in there going nuts, and I was like, what the hell, man? Talked to a couple guys that was in there, and they're like, well, don't you know there's this big storm coming? Yeah, okay. So yeah, there's still, even with all the stuff going on in the world, there is nothing that's bad enough, I guess, to make people start to prepare very much without, having an actual bad storm coming through their area. So there you go. Ohio Prepper says we were expecting 3/4 inch ice and 18 inches of snow. Holy shit, man. That's a lot. That'll be interesting. So yeah, keep us up on how that goes. Like to see how that turns out. 18 inches, that's a good jag there. See, we sent a lot of trucks up to North Dakota, South Dakota, stuff like that, and there's some places up there that are getting ready to get hit with some real hard weather too. So could be interesting traveling here soon. I'm surprised it took this long to get to this type of weather, but it is what it is, global warming, all that good stuff. So, the weather's a little different, and it's been nice enough. We got little moths still here and there. Good grief. So anyways, I don't think I'm going to mess around too long waiting for this to populate any. Just a couple people is good enough for me. I'm going to roll with it and just start talking about the story, and whoever joins in, joins in. And right as I say that, I'll go ahead and say good evening, Native. Thanks for showing up, brother. I'm not going to repeat anything I said. Sorry, boss. But yeah, we were just getting into this, getting ready to roll out the story. Heartland's not going to be here, so I'm just going to kind of roll through it. I didn't have, enough time to read my notes right beforehand, like I like to usually do, is kind of go over my notes beforehand, but I was running right up to the last minute. So I'm going to be reading basically off of everything, which is fine with me. So like basically this story is taking place in right outside of Russia. And so what I've read about like this Siberian summers is they don't last long. They run from like uh, early May to basically early September. And then it's just snow and cold. That's it. Other than that, you got that little short time frame there. And so this particular forest is a huge, huge area, forest, wilderness, whatever you want to call it. There is a ton of trees there and stuff like that. But this is a giant area. It takes up like 5 million square miles of pretty much nothingness. There's like a few thousand people that live in this particular area, and it is pretty well untouched by man, other than like people going up there, trying to get oil prospectors, things like that. So it's a very desolate area, very beautiful. I looked at a lot of pictures of it and everything. It's a very, very beautiful place. But with that being said, with the oil prospectors up there, back in like 1978, there was a group of geologists going in there, and they were trying to find somewhere, a safe spot to land to start looking for oil, and expanding the oil industry up there in that area. And like this goes from Russia to Mongolia, and it kind of covers a very large area. So they were in the right outside the Mongolian border, like 150 miles off the Mongolian border, looking for oil. And they were just kind of flying around through here because this is extremely rough territory. You're talking cliffs that are pretty much straight up vertical. There's tons of trees. There's tons of water everywhere. It's just not real friendly to try to get in there and land somewhere. And then plus on top of that, you got all your wildlife. So it's just not a real friendly place to get into. So they were using a helicopter, kind of just cruising around the tree lines, looking to see what they can find and trying to find a good place to land. And then whilst they were doing that, hey, K. Marie, what's up? Yes, we are definitely all weirdos, but thanks for pointing that out. So while they were cruising around in a helicopter, the guy was looking out, the big, it was like a bubble helicopter, one of them kind of funny looking ones. So he had this great big, picturesque window he was looking out of. And they were kind of flying down through there. And then all of a sudden this area just jumped out real major to him, because it was a huge, huge clearing. And there was nowhere else in this area that was cleared out like this. And it was basically like, by the time they landed and got it all sorted out, it was a 6,000 plus foot clearing that was in this, major wooded area, and with all these huge mountainsides and everything like that around it. So it was really weird. And there was no records anywhere of any humans being in this area. Arkansas living, what's up, brother? So with that being said, there's nobody that's supposed to be in this area. They're 150 miles off of the Mongolian border into the Siberian wilderness. Now, with that 6,000 square feet, they kind of seen something that looked off even more so than that, kind of up along the hillside, but it was really tough to see. And so they decided to go ahead and kind of land there and kind of check out the area. That spot had really never been explored ever in history that they knew of. And so they kind of landed down low, and they're kind of looking around. And as they were looking up one of the hillsides in that particular area, they could tell that there was some kind of like a little cabin or something there, little something built there that was definitely out of place, because it did not fit, the backdrop of where they were at. So the geologist decided to kind of go up and approach this place and take a little better look and see what was going on there. So they decided they'd fly back, pack up some gifts and things like that, just kind of to have some things to hand out to the people that are there. And when they were doing all that, one of the geologists was packing away things, and they all felt real good about, everything they was going to deliver. And the lady wrote down that she recalled double checking her pistol that hung on her waist to make sure it was loaded and she had extra ammo. And even though there shouldn't have been nobody to worry about in their heads, that was probably a really good move because you just never know. And so anyways, they fly back to the location and they land again, and they kind of start to head up this mountainside. And like I said, it's a lot of the areas are pretty much straight up vertical, but these folks had found a place that was a little bit more flat, and they were able to clear out like 6,000 square feet. And so as they was heading toward this place, they crossed a stream, and right as they crossed the stream, that wasn't, probably like 1,000 yards is what they were guessing, away from the homestead, or the area that they were looking at. From there, they could tell that it was definitely a dwelling. The lady said that the house was blackened by time and rain and just the weather in general. It was a very weathered place, and they were kind of writing it off as just a brush pile at that point. But then there was like a little pocket, like a backpack pocket size window that they caught a glimpse of something in. And that's where they figured out, hey, there's actually people living in here for sure. So that was for sure. They had their backpacks full of, gifts and stuff like that. So they continued up to this place. Hey, Virginia Roots, what's up, man? Thanks for coming over. So they went ahead and went up to this place, and they kind of knock on the door and everything, and just step back to try to be as polite as possible. And then basically the door creaked open, and it was a very small door. They said it was probably half the size of what an actual door should be. So it was a very small door. It creaked open, and then right from there, this very small, very old man kind of came out of this door, and they said it was basically straight out of a fairy tale. The guy was barefoot. He had terribly tattered clothes that were patched and patched again and patched again and patched again, just patches everywhere all over this guy. His beard was crazy, had just junk all in it. His hair was all crazy and everything like that. But the guy looked very scared, but he was very attentive. So he was looking around, scanning kind of and checking everybody out and everything like that. So, he was very aware of this, his surroundings and everything. So they just kind of stood there in silence for a few minutes before one of the geologists was like, hey, we need to get to talking to this fella. So he's like, hey, greetings, grandfather. We've came to visit you. A few other minor things, and just kind of waited. And the old man just kind of stood there for a little bit. And then he finally did reply very quietly, but very shyly, that, well, since you've came this far, why don't you come in? So the geologist went to go into this house, and as they entered the house, they were looking around and everything, and it was just a very tiny cabin area, and there was potato peelings, and like nuts and stuff like that all over the ground. That was just it was just a filthy place. It was a one-room place, and there was very little light, a very smoky stove, and it was some kind of a janky built thing that they made from what they had out there. So there was very little lighting to see anything, but they did catch kind of a glimpse of some other shadows kind of back in the background. Give a bot a wrench, and let's see what happens. Yeah, that's a good one, Ghetto. I'm not going to touch my screen today, folks, probably because it has been giving me real big fits today. So I'd like to put up some of your comments and everything, but it's been just going nuts. So I don't really want to mess with that too bad. So I apologize for that. But here in a little bit, I probably will go ahead and start doing it. And then if it just goes to hell, it goes to hell. Sorry. But anyways, yeah, so they couldn't really see anything, but there was a couple figures kind of back in the background. And as these folks started talking, the geologist started talking and trying to talk to the old man. These people in the background started crying and praying at that point. And so the geologist started kind of thinking that was pretty weird and thought maybe they should get out of there. So they kind of backed off and went out several hundred yards away. And then at that point, they just kind of waited for the old man to come out or somebody to come out, and they just kept sitting there waiting. Finally, the old man came out. His daughters followed out with him, and they said that the daughters spoke in a very distorted language. Like, it was really hard to understand them, but the girls acted like they knew what it was, what they was talking about, to each other. And so they offered him like, several different things, salt, jams, things like that. And the guy kept saying that they couldn't accept it because it was against their religion, basically. And they offered him bread at one point, and he said, no, I don't want any. We haven't had none of that in years. And the guy asked him, one of the geologists asked him, have you ever even had bread? And he said, yes, but I just haven't had it in years. Well, then turned out that the girls and the boy had never, ever seen bread before in their life. So this just kind of giving you a little bit of an idea of how minimal of stuff they had to eat. And so fast forwarding a little bit into the geologists were talking to the son and daughters as best they could and picking the father's brain. Like the son had this crazy endurance because they had no weapons like guns, bows, anything like that. They trapped what they could. And the other way they hunted was they would literally chase game until it would get too tired. The father would take off one way, the son would take off another way. So these guys were literally chasing down game. That's why they had very minimal meat in their diets. So they basically had just what they could grow. Sorry, I'm going to flip through a couple of my notes here and try to find the dates, because I think it was in 1936. Since we kind of got a little bit of a story of how they were and the kind of life they were living. They had basically zero anything. They had like one little spinning wheel that they used to try to make clothing and stuff like that. And basically, whatever they would grow, they would save the seeds and reuse. And they'd plant like potatoes, and hemp was the main thing, one of their main deals for the fibers, and the seeds they put into potato cakes to get a little extra protein and the fatty acids and things like that. But they basically lived on the verge of starvation all the time. So it's quite interesting. Hey, Milk May, what's up? Everybody, thank you again for showing up. So once again, this was back in 1936. These folks ran into the Siberian wilderness to try to escape like religious I can't think of the name of it now, sorry. They were, if they wouldn't have left, they would have basically gotten killed because of their religion. So they were trying to get out of there because of their religious beliefs. So they ran off into the forest to try to survive. And so they were eating, basically roots, grasses, any mushrooms they could find, potatoes, bark. The guy said they were hungry all the time. That was just the way of life, is you lived hungry and you tried to, find things to eat, and, you hunted and you scavenged, basically. So for all the people that are always like, oh, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to hunt and I'm going to, gather and I'm going to live, and that's just what's going to happen when shit hits the fan. That's a crazy idea. Here's one story of people that lived somewhere where they did this on a regular basis anyways before they went to go live like this. It's very hard to believe that somebody could actually do this. So these folks went into this wilderness to try to survive and escape religious, persecution, basically. They lived out there for 50 plus years. And so they went out there with 2 kids, and they ended up having 2 more kids while they was out there. I think it was 3 girls and a boy that they had total, and then the mother. So, that was a lot to take care of when they were out there trying to do all this. Basically, what they would do at the end of each year is they would decide, once they're getting to a certain amount of seeds and stuff like that, they would decide, okay, they'd have it like a council meeting, and they'd go, okay, are we going to eat these seeds, or are we going to try to save them? And they're starving at this point, and they'd go, okay, yep, we're going to save them, we're going to move on, and hope that this works out. Well, with that being said, one of the winters was a little bit longer, a little bit harsher, and when they made that decision, the mother ended up dying from starvation at that point. So it was just the father, the son, and the daughters that was left. And they had, by the end of it, I want to say they had like one or two seeds. That was basically all they had left that they took and planted. And then because they had, that was basically it. They spent all day, night, everything, garden it, just fiercely garden what they had planted. And so, you know, they would rotate shifts basically of, watching all the things that they had planted, watching the few things they had planted. And then they were trying to trap and stuff like this. And then, so fast forward again to where the geologists have came in and they found these people that have been living there for all these years and with no contact with the outside world whatsoever. So they were very intrigued by it, and they were, you know, trying to approach these people and keep giving them gifts and everything like that so they could get more and more information out of them. But there was just a huge language barrier there because of the amount of time that was spent out in this area. So they did finally start making some breakthroughs with them and everything like that. But basically, once they had, this is the probably the saddest part of the story, once they had kind of started making more contact with this family, everybody started getting sick. And so, you know, two of the daughters died, and then the one of the daughters died, the son died, and then the father died, and it only left, you know, one daughter left, and it was in pretty quick order. I think they said it was within a couple of months because they had no immunities to anything outside of what they'd been exposed to, and they didn't really have any other things to get sick by. So once they were exposed to all these other people, that's when they got horribly sick. And they tried, because they wanted so much more of the story from the father, which is the one they could understand the most. They tried to offer to, you know, fly him out with a, you know, with a helicopter, get him to a hospital and nurse him back to health. And he just literally told them, no, he can't do that because it's against their religion. And he won't do that. He won't leave his family. He will be, he said, planted there with his family. And so it was pretty sad for the geologist, but they let him go. And, you know, just kind of let him go on about his way. There's nothing they could do at that point. So shortly after the father's funeral, the geologists were talking to the last remaining daughter, which from what I read, now this was on Google, of course, so it's 100% accurate. It said that the lady was the last remaining daughter, the youngest daughter, was still alive and living out there just like she was, because she wouldn't leave at all. And they were, you know, asking her, well, aren't you afraid to be out here by yourself? And she, you know, she simply just said, what's there to be afraid of out here? Which is crazy to us, because if you think about it, you know, there's Siberian tigers there, there's brown bears, there's polar bears, there's like wolverines, wolves. I mean, there's a lot of things that could kill you there, and not even thinking about, you know, being starving or whatever. So there's all this stuff that could kill you there. So it was crazy for her to think that that was a really safe place for her. And she basically said, you know, I'm staying here. God will provide, because they were extremely religious people. That's all they had was their religion and their family. They had never seen another human being until 1978. From 1936 and 1978, nobody had seen another human being. So that was the scary thing to them, was seeing human beings. And so as they were starting to walk off, they kept looking back at the young lady at that point. You know, she was young, kept looking back at her, you know, hoping to see some kind of a sign like, okay, yeah, come back and grab me, because she's the only lone survivor now at this point. And she just kept standing at the river, they said, like a statue. She never even really moved. There was no tears, there was no nothing. She just nodded to him and told him to go on, keep going. And so they left, and that's kind of where the story ended off. And it's quite interesting, because I looked and looked and looked all over the place, and I couldn't really find like where a movie or anything had been made about this. It was basically just like a documentary was the only thing that had possibly been made over in like Britain or something. And so it was extremely hard and interesting to find some of the things that I had seen on here. So, but that's why I made that video yesterday, was over the hemp seeds and leaves and stuff like that, because I was reading about this, and it occurred to me, I was like, wow, these people use that as a main staple in their diet was, hemp seeds and leaves and everything. So I thought, well, that'd be a good thing to research a little bit. So I started looking into it, and that's where I started, seeing the nutritional value of hemp seeds and everything. And I thought, well, hell, that would be a great thing to put into your diet is hemp seeds and leaves and everything. These people still were facing famine and everything, but most people aren't going to be living in that harsh of an environment. You're going to be in a little, I would hope you'd be in a little less harsh of an environment at this point. So they will grow a lot better and you can, help be sustainable. But it's a terribly interesting story. If you guys can find it, I would highly, highly suggest looking it up, seeing what you can read on it. It's crazy. There's so much information there. I skimmed just over it very minimally to try to get through this in a decent amount of time, just because of the information that's there. But I personally would love to see an actual movie made over this. Somebody do some kind of a really good documentary over this. And so if any of y'all find it anywhere, please, by all means, let me know in the comments that you've found an actual movie or something to that extent so that I could go back and try to watch it and absorb it a little bit more. I'm actually going to read this story a couple more times now, hopefully in the next week or so, to sink it in a little bit better. Our work went really crazy, as well as Heartland's. That's why he's not here right now. So it was a story I wish I could put a little bit more time into. But being that I'm kind of here running solo, I'll kind of put myself in the position of doing the hindsight and everything like that. But if you guys have any suggestions or anything on hindsight questions, anything like that, please let me know. Oh, man, note made. It's all good. It was a pretty short video. It was just kind of thrown out there after I was reading this about the hemp seeds and everything. So it's really not that interesting. If you go and read more on this stuff, you'll be a lot more interested. But yeah, anybody, if you got any suggestions on that or anything as far as the hindsights, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to roll into it here pretty quickly and kind of get going there. But while I'm kind of waiting to just kind of read the comments a little bit, Native, brother, I have been enjoying the hell out of your morning reloads. A lot of times I pull over because I listen to it when I start driving from home to work. So I'll pull over to kind of comment or whatever, then kind of keep rolling on. And then once I get to town, I'll hit the gas station, pull over, and try to comment or read some of the comments and stuff. But man, I am super happy, and I hope you keep doing all those videos in the morning, man. That is one of my favorite things to listen to. Let's see here. All right, well, I'm not seeing much of the comments as far as like a hindsight on it, so I guess I'll just kind of go with what I would do in that situation, and then I'll do my own hindsight on it real quick. So in that situation, I don't think they had a lot of choices. Obviously, that's exactly why they left and went out to the woods like they did. As part of the story that I didn't mention, the man that took his family and ran out into this wilderness, he had just seen his brother get murdered because of their religion, and and they actually started charging people according to, like, funnily enough, however you'd say that, according to whether they had a beard or not. So they would tax you in one way or the other because of your beard, and the beard was because of the religious belief. So it'd almost be like Amish, I would say. So if you had the beard, they'd tax you more and harass you more. If you didn't have the beard, you're clean shaved, you get taxed less and harassed less. So it was kind of interesting, especially in that part of the world where I'd want a beard all the time because it is that cold. Native, have you already said what their main source food was? I may have skipped that actually, Native. So their main source was potatoes that they carried around, and then they'd use the hemp seeds and leaves to put in with the potatoes. But yeah, the potatoes was their main thing, and then anything above and beyond that was what they would catch, or anything. They grew peas, carrots, a lot of root vegetables because of the temperatures there, and apparently that's the things that grow really good. So that's what they would try to grow, and I want to say they did Milo as well, sorghum, I guess it would be, and most of it didn't do real well. So the potatoes was the main thing that they had, and apparently because they said there was nut shells all over the floor, they must have found a nut tree somewhere near where they put up their house, their hut, and that's just from what I could see. What's up, Stuart? How you doing tonight? Jennifer, how are you doing, honey? Are you still out doing chores and just trying to comment here and there? That's a good question. I think they made some, catching wild birds and stuff like that. I think they did use some of like their traps and stuff to catch wild game like birds. And I know this sounds horrible, but if you're hungry, you're hungry. But I would probably die at this point because I hate mice. But they ate a lot of mice, and so they could have potentially even used mice to help catch birds, I guess, possibly, depending. But yeah, the seeds, I am pretty sure they did use them and did catch some birds, but all their traps were handmade from like birch and stuff like that because they left with literally nothing other than a spinning wheel, a couple of tin pots to cook with, clothes on their back, handful of seeds, and that's about it. They kind of just bolted out of there in a quick hurry. Yeah, Milkmaid, I agree. It's there we go. Yeah, so that's why the hindsight on this is so hard because in their position, I don't know what you would truly do different. You're under, you're gonna basically die if you don't hurry up and get out of there and get away as quick as possible. And so what they were doing is they would go, as many miles as they could. They had little ones, and so they would go as many miles as they could. They said, from what I read, it was like 5 to 7 miles a day. Then they would camp somewhere basically, and they would just build like a little bushcraft hut, and they just kept doing this up until they got like literally 150 miles away from the closest village. And so back then, especially going into something like that, even now, there's hardly any people that live out there, so it's not even worth going to look for a couple of people that took off. It's not worth your time and effort. So that's probably the way to go, and they probably did exactly the best thing that you could do. I can't think of anything that I would do different as far as if I was in that situation right then, right there. I guess other than maybe, but I don't. There again, as I start to say it and think about how this went, you couldn't even talk to a neighbor because if you said something to your neighbor, they could potentially turn you in, and then you just killed your family. So there's nothing. I have no hindsight on this. That's it, man. I feel bad because that's it. I have no hindsight. It's crazy. I hope nobody ever has to do this, but I mean, how many times in history has this happened? It happened here with these folks. It's happened tons of times throughout history that people have had to hurry up and leave to try to escape everybody, or not everybody, some people that are trying to kill them or whatever. So, and I stumbled across this by complete accident one day. I wasn't even looking for anything like this. I was just Googling random stuff while I was on break and found this. That's an interesting. That's an interesting twist there, Ghetto. So piggybacking off of that, I have read another story where now this is horrible actually, and but it is what it is. It was back in this era as well, where these people had moved to a very desolate area, and they actually ended up, yeah, going cannibal and then reproducing to keep feeding themselves, to add into their diet basically. So that's a crazy story. I read it. It was interesting. It was crazy. I don't know if I want to roll into that one or not. I kind of do, but it's kind of, but yeah, I mean, if I died and my family was starving, if they could handle it, I'd say chop me up and cook me up. And like Native said, I guess that's where you look at any of the other people. The butt's where you start. The rump roast, as Ohio Prepper says, that's where you start at. It's supposed to be the best meat. I Googled it one time. That was probably a bad idea, but you gotta look. The good news is, though, I use my wife's phone, so if they think anybody's crazy, it's gonna be her. But yeah, why not? I mean, it's a waste of meat, in all honesty. If you're in that bad of a position, I don't know how much of it you can eat before it starts throwing your body off. But if you are in that bad of a position, yeah, man, eat it up. Something's gonna. You leave me out, coyotes are gonna get me. Something's gonna drive me off. So somebody might as well get some good food off of it. Especially if it's in wintertime. Like most of these folks were dying in wintertime, so you ain't gotta worry about keeping the meat in good order. Oh, Vienna sausages? I hope not, man. I couldn't eat it then. Often. Yeah, definitely. Oh man. Yeah, definitely there. I don't know, man. A lot of people say that, and I've even kind of kicked it around with some of my really religious friends that say, they can't eat, they couldn't do that because of the religious beliefs and stuff like that. So now I'm gonna have to do one. My wife told me to do one over the movie Alive, so I think I'm gonna do one over that because it's very interesting on that one because I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that people were very religious, but when they got hungry enough, I think religion took a backseat to just staying alive. I mean, I don't know much about that type of stuff, but I'm pretty sure you can still say, "Hey, I'm really sorry about that." But, I kind of needed to eat. But I don't know, man. I think if a guy is hungry enough, you're not gonna care what it is. Yeah, it was probably a bad idea. My wife wasn't real. I don't think my wife was real impressed with the idea. I've looked up a few other things, along these lines, just to see, what's out there. Just because, you're bored, you gotta go, gotta see. I mean, hell, who knows? People joke about it. I'm sure somebody tried to put something out there, but yeah, probably gonna get a knock on the door at some point if I keep doing that stuff. But yeah, just tell them, hey, it's just for fun, man. Let's see here. Well, thank you. I was being thoughtful. I would have used my work phone, but I didn't want work to complain about it. I've got to, I've looked up some other odd things that I've had to have some interesting conversations with, so I decided not to use the work phone for that. Oh, ghetto! I can't put that one up there, man. You're still talking about people or not? Because that's actually not a bad idea. Maybe they flavored a little better. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wish there was somebody that I could actually be talking back and forth to, so I'm not the only person just talking and now literally feeling like a crazy person because I'm discussing eating people with comments that have folks I've never actually met before in my life. So, yeah, 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 yeah. The situation in Andy's that is the movie Alive. I'm pretty sure, and that is I want to read that a little bit, but then actually watch the movie because the movie's I thought the movie was really good. So yeah, I'd have to kind of kick that one back in there. I don't know that. I don't think Heartland would like being in on that one. He has a pretty strong stance on that, so I'll have to do that one on a night when he's for sure not going to be around. That's good stuff, man. Now that's an interesting one there. I've never heard that one, Native. See, I don't like the liver of anything personally, and that's to me it's because it's the thing that filters everything out. But also, it has a lot of really good nutritional benefits. And when you read into the liver and everything, it's actually a hell of a good cut for you. So that is different than like my initial thoughts on liver. And like I say, it's mainly because to me, a liver filters out everything, so it seems like it's a gross thing to eat. But when you read about it, it is actually really good. And actually, if it's cooked good, it's hella good to eat. Well, not people, I mean, but normal livers. The heart, I would go for definitely because the heart, that's a muscle that can't taste much different than any other heart. I mean, a heart's a heart, so that should be probably, and you can cut that up. The heart, it's the size of your fist basically, so you can get good 4 servings out of that. uh, oh no, I didn't catch that, Stuart. I didn't know Dave couldn't hear me. So um, we have been cat. Well, if he can't hear me, that means I can talk bad about him, then, right? See, yeah, whoever started this just turned this to a complete weird thing. So K Marie was right when she stepped in here and said, "Hey, weirdos, what's up?" Basically, yeah, because this is the type of stuff that happens. Uh, yeah, and I don't even know how we got to this place. It's not as bad as some of the lives I've been on. Like last year, when I was doing some of the lives with some of those folks, man, they went really sideways. I mean, it was 100 miles away from what we was talking about, and I don't know how we got there, how we got away from it finally, and yeah, and see, and it just, everybody just keeps rolling with it because everybody has that sense of humor, I guess. Wow, and it'll be really interesting uh, if when at Homestead, I think I was talking about doing like a meet and greet for YouTubers, this summer. No, he wasn't talking about it. It was on his like comments, I guess, or not comments, but his community deal. And I think that'd be cool as hell. And then y'all we could finally meet each other and bring Ghetto in. I think I'm ahead of you in the live chat a little bit. What do you mean bring Ghetto in, honey? He said he'd come join you if you bring him in. I don't know how. Hey, Ghetto. Oh, yeah, she is ahead of me. I don't know what the hell's going on with my thing here. Hey, Ghetto. Do you know my like email address and stuff like that, man? I'll for sure send you my information, and then yeah, we can get together and do that. That'd be cool because I'll run it past Heartland too. Because when I talked to him about it before, back, uh, couple months ago, he wasn't real interested in it because, like I say, he has some real strong religious beliefs and stances on that. So I didn't really want to push the issue on him at all. But if you're interested in doing it, that'd be cool, man. Because I would rather bounce off of each other and be able to talk. So let me know if you've got my information. If not, I'll put it on here. Yeah, or probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Um, I'm not a religious guy at all, but I do appreciate the videos you're putting out on that because it's interesting to me and I like to listen and kind of open my eyes on some of it a little bit and kind of just, feel my way around a little bit just to listen. So I do appreciate the videos you're doing on that though. Man, keep them up, brother. They're good. Serious question on that, Native. Yeah, man. Like, if it's not my immediate family, this is gonna sound horrible, man, but I'd probably I'd probably eat somebody, man. uh, there's got to be a lot of protein in there, and that'll keep you going. I would think, but I don't know, man. Making that first cut would be the hardest, probably. But I don't really like people, so it probably wouldn't be that bad, I guess. But if I had to, do everything I could to avoid it, which I probably would, I would. I mean, like even these folks I was talking about in this story here, and I'd say their names, but I'd hate to butcher it because they're Russian, and I don't want to butcher their names because I can't pronounce nothing very well. But anyways, they literally were eating their shoes. I mean, clothing, bark, anything just to feel full. Which depending on where you were, like in the movie Alive, they didn't have really much choice because there wasn't nothing there to eat. They could have chewed on the seats of the airplane or something, but just kind of basically, yeah. I mean, anything to fill your belly, as long as you keep water, you can go a long, long time without food. I mean, I think you could go much longer than the 3x3x3 stuff. Personally, I think you can go a lot longer without it if you can find some stuff to eat. I'd eat. I've eaten bugs already. I mean, we grow them and I eat them, which I'm actually wanting to do some more of because I want to start incorporating them into my salads a lot more often. So I wouldn't have an issue eating bugs. I wouldn't have no issue eating grubs, insects of any kind, plants that I could try that I would be pretty certain were edible. The barks, I don't know that I could eat a shoe though. I mean, I guess it is leather, but I don't think there's any nutrition in there. But yeah, I don't know. What else would anybody else literally try to eat with, to avoid that? I'm gonna put this up there, Arkansas living, but my wife would not allow this ever, never, ever. I can't. I don't think I could either. Like raccoon ain't bad. I mean, lots of animals ain't bad, but oof, that's a giant ass mouse. Oh, I might eat the mouse if I was really hungry, though. I guess I have to be really hungry. Oh, that's so gross. Oh, that's so nasty. Ugh. Yeah. Yep. This one would be hard for me, man. That'd be a really hard one. I mean, I'd have to be in pretty bad shape. I mean, if I had a dog, I'd utilize them to hunt with me, and it'd be very hard to sacrifice them because, man, they got your back. They ain't gonna leave you. They ain't gonna eat you when you die. Cat will. A dog will starve to death pretty much from all the stuff I've read. Maybe untrue, but your dog from the stuff I've read, will starve to death before they would eat you. So I would have to return that loyalty to them. But I've never been starving before, so that may change if I was actually in that position. I mean, man, once you're in that position, man, I don't know. Yeah, they are all greasy there, but I don't know that one marsupial is pretty ugh, gross. Yeah, I can't. No, I don't know, man. I can eat a lot of random weird shit, but I don't think I can do that. Let's see here. It's interesting. Would you second? Oh yeah. Unfortunately, if I was on the verge of starving, I would probably do some horrible things to try to get their food. That's just me personally. I didn't think I would. Like a couple years ago, that question was posed to me maybe a year ago, and I didn't think I would. I thought, well, I do this or that, and move on with it, and just try to find other stuff. But honestly, as I've thought about that more and more over the years, which is, I don't know that good thing, but it's just it comes up in so many different conversations. It does make you guys think about it. Um, I came to the conclusion, period, that I'm taking care of me and my family. And whether that family is my just immediate family or the family that surrounds me, I'm taking care of them to the nth degree, no matter what it takes. So yeah, if there was another group, even if they were peaceful, yeah, I'm afraid. I'm afraid if I was starving, then what's theirs is mine now. If they would let me come and work for them or something and make some kind of an agreement or a gesture or whatever, to where I could work for them and feed my family, or trade out labor for food, or something like that, totally different. I'd try it that way first. If they said no and we were starving, and I'm probably gonna club him. Just throwing that out there. I mean, I don't like saying it, but that's probably what's gonna happen. What about you there, Native? What would you do there, bud? Sorry, I'm kind of reading through the chats real quick there, guys. That ain't. Yeah. Uh, it looks like a giant mouse, though. Oh. It is definitely a marsupial, but it looks like a giant mouse. It is. Oh. Oh, yeah. Thanks for reinforcing that, dear. Complete honest strangers, and you just reinforced that. I would definitely eat someone. Appreciate that. So, yeah, nobody's going to want me to come to the little gathering this summer. I'll bring the booger. Now that's interesting, I guess. Yeah, I mean that'd be kind of like even like a catfish, like a big catfish. Um, Cleaning them out. Bullfrogs, I like cleaning them out if I can. Um, so they would probably taste a little better if you clean them out and feed them something good. Yeah, you're right, Art. That's probably right. Honestly, as disgusting as that is, you're probably right. Um, and that's weird for me to say that because of all the random stuff I've eaten in my life, and possum is the one thing that I just absolutely. And it wasn't even that bad until I lived with my wife for so many years, and as much as she hated them, and now I hate them that bad. 20 years has ruined me. Yeah. If we had it all, then that would be good. If you don't have nothing to soak it in, But then again, once you're that hungry, I don't think you're really gonna care what it is. Even me, my wife might starve to death before she ate one, but I would probably once I was that hungry, I don't think I'd care what it is, man. There's just something that tells me that once you get into that true survival mode, man, you're gonna really push to just survive no matter what the case is, whether it's a possum or a rat. You read some of them. I'd almost agree there, man. Uh, uh, you read some of the stories about like POWs and stuff like that, and some of the things that they would find to scrounge up to eat. Man, those people were starving. They would eat literally anything. So, and yeah, if you keep ranch on hand, almost everything tastes good in ranch. So yeah, thanks, honey. Interesting. Sorry, man. I'm trying to catch up with you guys. Sorry. Squatch. Interesting stuff there. Interesting. What about any of y'all? If you came across, like Native said, if you came across, a peaceful group, what's your guys' thinking on that? Would put it in the comments. Would you guys, take their stuff? Or would you just continue to starve? And think about it in the mindset that you got your whole family with you. You had to flee your residence to go save yourself from persecution or whatever. Are you gonna take somebody's stuff, or are you gonna just go ahead and starve it out? Let me know what you guys think in the comments and everything. And that may be another good I could probably find something that would be a hindsight on something like that, to where it would be going to somewhere. I'm pretty certain I can find something like that where I know I've seen it in the past where somebody has had to leave and then they came across other people, then they ransacked them for their stuff and everything like that, and it is all true story type of stuff. So I may look and see if I can find one of those to just kind of follow up with that type of stuff. Excuse me. That is not true. I mean, a little bit, but not true. Not true. All right, man. Well, we're getting up near that hour mark. So I appreciate everybody's in here. Militant Roots, Stewart, Ghetto, Milkmaid, Lady Smith, Arkansas Living, Native, my beautiful wife Jennifer, Anarchy Television. I know I'm going to miss people. Just yell at me later, and I apologize. Let's see here. Leah, Larry. All right, man. Yeah, thank y'all for coming. As always, greatly appreciated. Y'all stay safe. Have a good night. Hopefully, I'll see you on the next live. And so, Ghetto, if you need to get my info, just put a comment on this video on the regular comments, and I'll just hop on there and I'll give you my info, man. Or I'll just put it on them as my own, and then just email me, and we'll go from there, buddy. All right, man. Y'all stay safe. Take care. Have a good night.